Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Historic Preservation Commission meeting of December 7th, a day that will live in infamy. For a lot of reasons. But tonight, Mary, would you call the roll, please?
Steve Hinnick.
Here.
Mitzi Rosilian. Tracy Miller. Jennifer Peterson. John Reardon. Bobby Stauffer. John Weitzel.
Hopefully John will be able to make it tonight at a little later date. Okay, this evening we've got 3 sets of minutes that hopefully everyone has taken a look at. Any comments on the June 15th, 2021 minutes? Hearing none, I would move that we approve the minutes of June 15th, 2021. Do I hear a second? It's been seconded. All those in favor say aye. 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 Opposed? All right. The July 6th of 2021 minutes, I think we have a comment. Mitzi?
This correction, I was not in attendance at that meeting.
Mary, could you make that correction, please?
I will.
Any other comments on that? Hearing none. All those in favor of, well, actually, I'd make a motion that the July 6 minutes be approved. Do I hear a second? Seconded by Jennifer Peterson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Let the minutes reflect that John Weitzel is present.
John, maybe you'd want to sit down here. We only have this monitor up here.
It's all right, John. You're fine, John. Okay, we have the August 3rd meeting minutes. Do I hear any comments on that from the commission? Hearing none, I move that we approve the minutes of the August 3rd, 2021 minutes. Do I hear a second on that? Tracy has seconded that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, all our minutes have been approved. Thank you, Mary, for putting those together. Tonight, we have any, do we have any public comments on any items on the agenda this evening? Hearing none, we'll move to our presentation. This evening, we have BSB Community Development Director, Karen Burns. Thank you for coming, Karen. Would you like to come forward and give your presentation? That's fine.
We can hear. Perfect. Great. All right. Well, thank you for having me tonight, and I'm really happy to be here, but kind of sad as well. As you well know, Mary is leaving us and retiring. So first off, I'd like to invite you all. We are having an open house and cake for Mary at our office on Friday afternoon from 2 to 4. So come wish her well if you so choose to join us in our office for a little celebration. I wanted to have a giant party, but she said no. That's not how she rolls. So we're just gonna have a nice subdued celebration in our office for Mary. And I wanna thank her for all of her dedication and time over the years. Her professionalism and her expertise has been very, very well received by our office and a good part of our team, and we'll miss you. And thank you for all you've done. Really appreciate it. So moving on to the replacement of this position, it's going to be a difficult task, I think, to find the right fit and the right person for this job. It's a big job. And so Mary and I worked on the job description, on revising that and making changes to that. We agreed upon the final description. We asked it for review from that of the chief executive and from our personnel office and everyone else on the administration side. No changes were made to the job description that Mary and I presented, so everyone agreed that that's what we would put forward. It has been posted. The position was posted last week. We've posted it as a continuous opening until filled, because we didn't want to have to repost and repost and repost if we don't receive, great candidates the first time around. So it is open and posted. The first run at looking at applications will be on December 14th. That's when we're first going to do our first cutoff and start looking at what we've received. It's been posted through the traditional channels with Butte-Silver Bow, but it's also been posted on PreserveNet, the Montana Association of Planners, the Western Planner, Montana Association of Registered Land Surveyors, Handshake, which is like an Indeed sort of site, Montana Tech, LinkedIn, Facebook, and all other channels that we have access to. So we've tried to spread it far and wide to make sure that we get some good candidates. And so I would encourage any of you that if you know anyone who is qualified for this position, please take a look at the job description online and ask them to apply, because we are really looking for a good fit for this position, and it's a big job. So working on all of that. So I'm very excited to get the process started. In the interim, I will be the point of contact for the Historic Preservation Commission. We will continue to have meetings. Hopefully, we have someone on sooner rather than later so that we can start training them in this position and being part of this commission. Until that time, I will serve in that role, and Mary is making me a wonderful document. We'll call it a cheat sheet royale. That is going to really help guide what I do, but I will also be looking to all of you to help me if I need it, if you don't mind calling on you as we get through things. So we hope to do that, and then obviously we will definitely contract out for services if needed for determinations of eligibility and other things like that as they come up. So we will be hoping to fill that gap till we get someone in the right way. So I just wanted to give you all a heads up of how we are planning to move this forward and what our ideas are. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me with any questions as we move through this process. And good luck to us, and congratulations to Mary, and obviously I hope you enjoy your retirement.
Thank you, Karen. Does anyone in the commission have any questions for Karen? Karen, how's our docket looking for the next couple of months? Have we got any future things that are really pressing?
I don't think horribly. We have been working on one that's probably the most spotlight is on the West Mercury property, or the East Mercury property, formerly known as Stack's property. We have been working on that together to this point. It's not ready for commission presentation yet, but we've had some consultations, and so that is the next kind of big thing, but we've been working on it. Yep.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Karen Burns. Anyone else have any questions for Karen? Thank you, and we'll just right the ship and keep on moving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very well. We're getting into our further presentations from the Black Diamond Investment Group, 305 North Alaska. Very familiar address. Some proposed rehab and front facade work. Mary, would you like to give us a brief outline? I know we have a presentation coming up. Ronnie Estes. Okay.
So I just want to say that Ronnie's here tonight to give a presentation on some of his ideas for the facade work. He attended the meeting and saw the presentation for the elevator and thought it might be a good idea to come to the commission beforehand and just get a feel about what you thought he was doing. As you know, there's been a lot of really exciting things going on with this building. So with that, we're just going to show this here and not put it up on the screen.
Ronnie, would you like to speak up and give us your name?
Yeah, my name's Ronnie Estes from Black Diamond Investment Group. I really appreciate you guys giving the time for us to come up and show this. This is just a preliminary drawing. I know that this building has very significant importance to Uptown, and that we want to preserve the front facade and give it the righteous due that it's due for from John O'Rourke. So That's what we've come up with. I'm not looking for any type of approval. I am actually just looking for your candid feedback and comments. We've already told you what we're doing on the other two sides. We're tearing it apart and putting it back the way it's supposed to go, which is on its way right now. And the last thing left was the front, and that's what we got. So I'm open for any comments or questions or anything like that.
Thank you, Ronnie. I have just a comment now. Obviously, you're using black sash like the other part of the building. Is that correct, on the windows? It looks like it's a dark.
Correct. So what's there right now is we're just taking the existing wood that's already there. We're going to repair the corbels and that stuff up top, and then we will appropriately prepare those finishes and paint them black on there. The only difference there is on the front, those insets, we want to be able to put I don't know if it's going to be a real copper panel, obviously final approval is depending, but a copper insert inside those little squares, whether it's real copper or something along that lines. I know real copper is going to, do the green funny thing, so I don't know exactly what that'll be yet, but that's what the intent is.
Very well. So it's a black lacquered finish on the wood on these oriel windows that are coming out, and then the insets would be a metallic copper finish.
Correct.
Okay. And we approved that on the Hennessy building on our banding there. We used a copper colored metal that instead of paint, it was actually lasts a little longer. So I think that seems apropos.
And I've seen it as well on the Northwestern building. Theirs isn't really a flat copper panel. It's kind of like a scale, like scallop type of deal as well. Real subtle, but paying tribute to Butte's history as well.
Anybody else on the commission like to comment on this proposal? It was actually a design presentation. Mitzi, did you have something?
Yeah, thanks. So you have different colors here for the panels on this, and I assume that is just the range of colors that you're thinking about, or actually thinking about multicolored panels?
That rendering actually reflects the time of day and the sunlight. So you're probably just seeing the angle of the sun from the front facade it'll be black, the trim will be the cream color, which matches the stone on the upper building, and then that copper insert. It'll be solid black on the wood portions.
But all of the inserts will be the same material?
Yeah, it's just because the rendering, you can position the sun, so it's actually focusing a different sheen just from the different sides.
That's reassuring, because I don't like that multiple colors.
No. It'll all be one. It'll be one copper color.
Anybody else comments? Tracy, would you like to make a comment?
I just think it's beautiful. I love it. Nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had been involved in an earlier study, and the main thing was to kind of make it blend with, this is the annex, obviously, between the original O'Rourke building. So you'd want that to kind of fit in with this. So I think it does, right?
Actually, I've learned a lot from Mary and doing the research. That even though that's the annex building, that building was the first building. Yeah.
Very well.
Which is odd that they call it the annex. Like, we couldn't figure that out for a while, but yes.
Now, the brickwork obviously is, this is a rendering, so you're working on the parapet wall now, or it has been worked on. Mm-hmm. How's that going?
So the back wall, which would be the west wall and the north wall up about 12 to 15 feet, are completely demoed. The building's completely safe. It has been double shored per the engineer's requirements. He only had one set of shoring in there. We've doubled it up. We've actually added more shoring than that. We have completely torn that apart. The new CME wall downstairs has built up to the foundation line. We poured the cap on it, and the framing's going to start next Tuesday, and the interior demolition started today.
Congratulations, that's great news. Yeah, John?
Yeah, just really quick. First off, you guys did a great job taking that, did a great job taking that brick down on the back. I don't think that took you one day, did it, or?
It took about a week or two, but it was very successful. Nobody got hurt, nothing fell, and I personally went out there and cut the floors back, and that building didn't move, didn't creak, didn't do anything. So we do know what the problem was, and we do know why that building sank in the back, and that problem will be corrected.
Beautiful. And then, just to correct me on this now, where you guys are putting all this black, this was all a wood facade at that beginning, I mean, the original.
That's all the wood facade there. I'm not tearing any of that off. We're just gonna refinish it,
okay.
sand it, you know, prep it
Oh,
accordingly and get it waterproof and all that good stuff to make sure that's correct.
Beautiful, thank you.
Yes.
Was that a little canopy coming out over the entry?
So that's the original canopy, and our architect did not get that in the rendering the way that I asked it to. So on the south building, the canopy's been completely redone. We're doing the same thing. The only difference on our canopy, which will be obviously subject to final approval, is the lion's head that holds the chain. I will have that dipped in copper plated in order to match the inserts, and then it'll be solid black with the same glass as the south side. Just making it a little tiny bit different. I figured John's intent was for the north building just a little bit higher level, and that's what we're shooting for.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Well, unless there's any objections, I think our commission seems to be fairly pleased with the results of this rendering and your direction. So, Mary, are they going to be going for an additional grant money from the URA or someone like that?
We will. I think we've almost exhausted it at this point in time, but there still is a little bit left. And when we apply for it, I will bring in the proper documentation and renderings for approval and plans for approval.
Yeah, I do hope this comes to the HPC for design review and that you get some more URA money, because you're making a huge investment in this building. And I'd just like to say I like this. I think it differentiates the two buildings a little bit without being extreme. And since, you know, it was that wood, I think it'll be really elegant and really stand out. So I just really appreciate all the work and time and effort you're putting into restoring this wonderful building. So thank you.
Great. Well, thank you for your presentation, and good luck going forward. Thank you.
I have one last objection.
Yes, sir.
Mary's retirement. Can we please object to that? Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a fairly conservative approach to the building, and I don't think it's outrageous, and I think it'll be great. It'll be great. It will. Okay, we have some new business coming up. We have like 3 or 4 of these things tonight. We have a design review certificate of appropriateness for 635 South Idaho Street. Mary, would you give us a brief overview? Why don't we try the next one, Mary? Since we're having a few little technical difficulties, let's try our COA review for 722 South Montana Street.
It doesn't really matter because I can't call any of them.
Okay. Well, very well. I did review. Well, let's go to the demo COA, which would be 327, just like a Chevy engine, North Wyoming Street.
Appropriate because I think everybody knows this house. It's over on North Washington Street, just across from the Capri Hotel. We did design review of the house next door, 329 North Wyoming, Linda, Welsh. And anyway, 327 is a really early, mid-1880s house. It's had a very hard life. And it's just a little front gable. It's kind of been, I probably shouldn't say it, but it was owned by a slum landlord for many, many years, and it was not well maintained and had a very difficult life. It was a house on leased ground, meaning that it was on a mining claim, and the mining company let somebody build a house there, and the owner paid a lease to have their house, or paid rent to have their house there. And then eventually, just a few years ago, Butte-Silver, well, we didn't, the ownership got consolidated under one person, the land and the property. And it's had a lot of problems with a lot of vagrants living in it, a lot of break-ins. I don't like calling houses bad houses, but this one's been very abused. The current owners are here tonight, and their daughter bought Linda Welch's house and is living there. She's a nurse. And the parents bought 327 with the idea to demolish it because there was such a problem with vagrants. They made the house available for us to come look at on the 23rd. A few of you showed up. It did look like somebody put new drywall in lately, but it's still in very, very rough shape. And it just, the porch has been demolished on the front. It would just, the foundation, I believe the foundation, I looked on the 1959 assessment card, tax assessment card, and the foundation they say on there was stone. And it has a brick veneer in some places and a concrete veneer, and the veneer is bad. I just think that this house is beyond feasible repair. And so I'm recommending approval of the demolition with conditions. And the first condition is salvage of reusable or architectural items. That if there's things that the property owner doesn't want to keep or give away, that he would allow Butte CPR or Habitat for Humanities or others to do salvage. Also, if there was going to be any new construction on the property within the next 10 years, that they would come to the HPC for design review. I'm not talking about, pads, concrete pads or anything like that, but if it was, they were going to build a garage, but also if they were going to put up a fence. I think the HPC should have opportunity for design review that so that it would be, if there's a fence, if I could show you the historic photograph from 1959, it has a really nice little picket fence. And I did want to let the property owners know if that was something that you were interested in doing, having a fence and making it, something like a wood picket fence or a modern fence that looks like wrought iron, like we have here at the courthouse, that you would, should contact the URA, and you'd have a grant available to assist with that, or a new construction there, and then it would come to the HPC for design review. And the URA provides grants for up to 25% of allowable costs, and that would include something like a fence, so they could help with that. So those are the conditions that I placed on my recommendation for approval of this demolition permit.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone on the commission have any comments on this COA? I know that some of the events that take place on the adjacent parking lot are indicative of our historic values, et cetera, as far as the folk festival goes. So this has been somewhat of an eyesore. It really is, and like you say, it's a contributing element. However, because of its rundown condition and upkeep, it's become more of a hindrance than a helpful addition to the district. Would you like to make a comment on this, Mitzi?
I think it's mainly the potential for, or lack of potential for, rehab in it. The foundation is, what you can see of it is very sketchy, and I think that is definitely a problem there. And of course, the inside is quite poor. But I do think the conditions that have been suggested are important, especially for a fence. I think that would really make a difference in this neighborhood, and also would keep festival goers from trampling on the property, of course. So anyway, I like the recommendation. I will support it.
Would anyone care to make a motion thereof? Well, I would make it that we approve the COA for 327 North Wyoming with the conditions as outlined by our Historic Preservation Officer. 1, any salvage of architectural significant items be allowed to the CPR or Habitat for Humanity. 2, any new construction would be reviewed by the HBC, and that includes any other kind of fence or landscaping details that might aid to the enhancement of the Uptown District. Do I hear a second on that motion? Second. John Reardon has seconded. Any other discussion on the question? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Well, congratulations, good luck, and we'd love to see you back here for any kind of input we could give you. Thank you. We're up and running visually. There's our owners. This is something, this is just, he said this is a header. Okay, oh, good, good. Wait a minute. Okay, all right, okay. All right, Mary, we're back in the saddle again here for how about 635 South Idaho Street? We have a COA for appropriateness, and could you give us an outline on that since we're up and running visually?
So this project is being done by another iteration of Fort Home, and Keegan Hall is here today representing them, but I'll just give a quick run through first. It's a fourplex on South Idaho. It's just south of the Newtown Pump. It's over here you see the 1959 photograph, and here it is today. It's one of those walk-up fourplex that really characterize Butte's architecture of the early 20th century. It's very, very close to the buildings next door. What is being proposed is, you can see that the railings and on the porch are replacements, but they're going to keep everything, but they want to, you can't really see it. I wish I had a better photograph, but the porches are, the front porch on that lower deck is sagging. Oops. You can see it better here. And so what they're proposing to do is to jack up this porch and then put concrete footers under each of the columns. Then they will be redecking the porch. It has really eroded wood and plywood on it, and they will be redecking with Fibron, which is that composite wood that has much more realistic look to, for wood decking than, say, like Trex. Then they're going to repair and reglaze the existing wood windows. You can see there's some big cottage-type windows and then double hungs. There's some windows on the side facades, even you can sort of see them here, even though there isn't much to see when you look out. They're going to be replacing the existing front doors with paneled wood or paneled fiberglass doors with a half-light window, and they'll replace the existing back doors with paneled wood or paneled fiberglass doors without windows. And these doors here will be either paneled wood or paneled fiberglass with a half windows. They're also going to be, would like to re-side this back porch. The back porch is, they're going to want to take this siding off, put in new insulation, and then re-side with wood siding, horizontal lap with a 6-inch reveal. Then they're going to, okay, I said the windows, the doors, and they're going to replace the wood, the casings, repair the casings at the windows and the doors using wood epoxy and replacing anything that's deteriorated beyond feasible repair with in-kind element of the same size and material. And they're going to scrape, paint, and prime all the exterior wood elements. Then I'm sorry. And then there's no brick repairs at this time. So
Thank
maybe,
you.
Keegan, would you like to come up and speak a little bit?
Is that on? All right. Evening, everyone. So yeah, thanks, Mary, for the overview. So just to kind of add to that, yeah, we're just looking at doing some repairs to the exterior, primarily keeping the original features that are there, and then replacing those front doors, which are really deteriorated. And the top left one, you can't really tell in the photo, but that was replaced at some point, like more recently, and it's not a very quality door. So we're just looking at replacing all those, and then doing those repairs to the siding on the back where it wasn't done properly to begin with. There's no sheathing or anything on it. It's just the clapboard nailed right to the studs, and it's chipped. Like a lot of the boards have split away where you can put your hand, you can see the studs behind it, and so we want to, take that all off, resheath it, and do it right, and then have 4 nice rentable units back on the market with. And then, let's see, yeah, so we will be doing some masonry repairs, but just with the phasing of the project, looking to get it rented out as soon as possible, and then doing some of the exterior things like the masonry probably in the spring when it's a little warmer out, since it's nothing super pressing like that the wall's going to fall down. So we're looking at doing those probably this spring as kind of more maintenance. Any questions or?
Yeah, you kind of answered my first question, is this occupied? And it's not yet.
No,
No.
all 4 are vacant right now, so.
All the 4. Well, I think it's a great thing to get our rentable stock back on the market again. I think that's an excellent idea. I know this neighborhood has a certain significance to me. My aunt and uncle live there in one of these flats. Francie York and her daughter, Holly Jo Saul, they own several of these blocks. And actually, my grandparents lived up the street, a couple of houses up. That has been demolished. So it really has a certain, a bit of affinity towards my sensibilities as far as historic sites. The density in this neighborhood is great. And it's actually, we have a very historic building on the corner too, that old church. That was the first all-black church in Butte, and it's so been noted on the historic register that way. So it's a fairly significant neighborhood. And I think with the improvements of the new town pump, new lighting and stuff, it's great to see something happening there. Do I have any comments from the commission on this project? Yay or nay? Well, hearing none, I would move that we approve the COA for 635 South Idaho Street. Do I hear a second? on Weitzel is seconded. Any discussion on the question? Mitzi, did you have a question?
It's a good project.
It's a good project. Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Congratulations and good luck on your work. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming. Okay. Okay, we have another COA, a design review for 722 South Montana Street.
Yeah, so this is another fourplex on South Montana Street. Here is the 1959 photograph here, and here is how it looks today. It pops out to me because it's painted green and purple, the porch, but it's always been one of my favorites. You can see on the 1959 photograph, they have round columns, wood columns, and those are no longer there, which is unfortunate, but otherwise, it retains a lot of its integrity. This one, they're proposing to install a new membrane roof. They won't be pulling it. They'll terminate that membrane in turnbuckles, and it won't be pulled up over the parapets. They're going to repair the brick parapet walls as needed. They'll be repointing, using or relaying brick, replacing missing or damaged beyond feasible repair brick with brick of the same color, composition, and size. They'll be repointing with mortar that is a lime mortar of the similar in composition, texture, and color to the existing mortar. They're going to replace the existing wood sash windows with Anderson Series 100 windows. These include, most of them are predominantly 1/1 double hungs, and the new windows will be 1/1 single hungs. They will all be of the same size. On the front facade, there's a cottage window on each floor. The upper cottage, they're kind of small, and maybe they're not true cottage windows because they're operable. The upper sash of these windows have a decal that was put on there that's modern. It kind of fooled me when I looked at it. I thought they were leaded glass, but anyway, so they will be doing a light configuration that replicates this, that'll have that meeting bar, so it'll look like a cottage window. I don't know if they'll be operable or not, though. And then they're going to scrape, sand, prime, and repaint all the exterior wood elements.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary.
And the project proponent isn't here
Oh,
tonight.
good. Were you saying that they were going to replace these columns? Is that correct? No, they're not. Okay.
They've already been replaced.
Okay. All right. Any comments from our commission? Mitzi has a comment.
It's not really a comment, but I keep thinking this is the one that came before the Historic Preservation Commission several years ago as a URA project, but of course, several of them on Montana look like that.
Yeah.
No, that's not the one, Karen? No, that's fine. Okay. Okay, thank you.
Well, I think anything we can improve in this corridor is a step in the right direction. We've got this, a new pavement, we have a new building, we have all sorts of good things happening there, and this is a step in the right direction, and I don't see any adverse effects historically to our district by the renovation of it. So I would move that we approve the COA for 722 South Montana Street. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Bobby Stauffer has seconded. Any discussion on the question?
I just was curious, did they say what they were going to paint the colors with?
I avoid asking about colors because we don't usually comment on colors because that just gets too awful. Hopefully maybe they'll be a little more sedate.
I would suggest taking a look at the Sherwin-Williams Historic Preservation color schemes. They have some that are appropriate for the age of the building, and it really does make a difference in the selections. I know on Mitzi Street, there's a purple building that doesn't quite fit only because, only because it's a little more outrageous. The one thing that I do know about Butte is the fact that color is important to people and their individuality, and that's what makes us such a beautiful city anyway. So, but I would suggest having a look at your Sherwin-Williams color palette for historic buildings. It seems to have worked good in my work prior to. Thank you, Tracy. Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Do I hear all those in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None. So thank you very much and good luck with this restoration. Next up, we have the old Exerdance building at 75 East Park Street. Would you like to, they're going to do some demo and some design work on it. Mary, would you outline this one for us, please?
It's so fun to have so many exciting projects going on. I can't stand it, but I'm going to miss it, but it'll still go on without me. And so I wanted to put this photograph up of the Exerdance building before they took the plywood off the storefront, which recently happened. Anyway, there's a new part owner, and they have already received a URA grant to assist with some structural improvements. They're really beefing up the foundation and the like. So now they're getting ready to do also planning or do some work on the exterior. I have on the phone here tonight Leslie Gilmore, preservation architect out of Bozeman, and she has been retained by their architectural team to help with the historic preservation components. And if you remember, Leslie presented on this, one of the owners, part owners in this building has the Rudolph's building, and Leslie came and presented that project to us last summer. Anyway, so everybody, we all know, maybe not everybody in the audience, where 75 East Park is. It's a very prominent building on East Park. But at first I thought I'd kind of show you some historic photographs before we go along. Here's I was really crazy today. I put this photograph as 1920. This is a 1893 photograph of the building, taken a year after it was constructed. And you can see, you know, there isn't a wood canopy out there, a very different store configuration. There's some really elegant stone columns here, but the upper story is pretty much the same. Here it is in 1912, and still yet just the regular storefront without that big projecting wood canopy that you see there today. Here is the first view that we have of the wood canopy, and this photograph, I believe, is from the 1930s based on the vehicles that you see. I blew it up a little bit so you could see it. Even back then, it wasn't as elegant as a canopy as you perhaps see today up at the Thornton building, or the building across the street to the east where Carrie Coe owns. It's where they have the exercise, CrossFit. And then, and that's a really nice one. She got some money to redo the neon lighting on that. And then there's a canopy on Finland. This one was never quite as elegant as that, but it first appears in this 1930s photo, so we know it was built sometime between the early to mid 1910s and the 1930s. Here it's still on here it is on the 1959 tax photo, and it's been refurbished a little bit. It has this really plain appearance. Here is a picture of the building from 1979. It was taken when the hair team came into Butte, and it's still that really plain canopy. And here's a picture of the canopy today. In the early 1980s, Exerdance moved into this building, and and this canopy was refurbished at that time to advertise that business. I think they resurfaced it with wood, and then they added these light stands and bulbs. And if you look at the signage, you can't really see it here so well, but it's all Exerdance and all that. So this is, they want to remove this canopy, and you know, even though it is a element from the historic era, I recommend approval of its removal, which now is requiring a demolition permit, and so that's why it's coming to us. The canopy, it's, it's been very altered over the years, and it's really kind of more like it was in the early 1980s than it was historically. It's fastened by, there's iron bars that are, that it's fastened into the brickwork here. And if you look at it, you can kind of see where it's pulling away a little bit. And so it's not very good for the brick. And I do think it will be nice to have the building kind of opened up where you can see it better again instead of having, but maybe not. I shouldn't say that, Steve. Anyway, but they're proposing to take this off for now, and then they would like to just, you can see that there was sort of some transom windows here, and they're not really sure what's back here behind the canopy, and so they would just like to fill in this area for the time being, because this is the first phase of a multi-phase restoration project. So for the time being, they would just like to take this off and then fill in this area with plywood, and plywood that would be painted brown or gray, so it doesn't look, so it doesn't stand out so much. And then this redevelopment of the storefront will be another phase of the project. They do want to, right now, deconstruct. There's brick veneer on the columns, and the base are here that, that looks like the 50s to me. They want to carefully deconstruct this brick because they think that they're hoping that the original columns are still under there. And so when they do that and they get this off, then they'll do Leslie will do an assessment and come up with an appropriate storefront design. So that's the storefront. Otherwise, on the upper stories, well, here's some more of you can see the Park Street gym, a closer view. There is some pressed tin on the ceiling of the canopy that's still there. So for approval of this demolition permit to remove the canopy, I recommend approval with the conditions that, one, that salvage, they allow for salvage of these pressed metal tin. If the owner doesn't like to keep them, it is something that Butte CPR would very much like to have and would be able to remove. And then as the other condition, it's design review for the rest of the project, the first phase of this rehabilitation project.
Thank you, Mary. I've been intimately involved with this building, not only working out there, and I know Karen worked out there with me. This was owned by the Hall family, and we stripped all the paint off of it, fixed up all the windows, enhanced the canopy, etc., replaced a lot of the damaged rotten tin on it, and I think it was a very successful business. Unfortunately, the writing was on the wall for this one, and then it was taken over by a firm from out of town who stripped everything out and they abandoned it. So any kind of improvement now would be a step in the right direction. I know that we scaffolded the whole thing and repointed all the brick, fixed some of the roofing, et cetera, and I think it turned out very well. It's just a shame that it's sort of deteriorated since then. So the removal of this does bring it back to the early days of its inception. I do understand that we should review this storefront design so that it's compatible with the rest of the block. But all in all, I think it's a step in the right direction, and I don't see any real problem with it. Any other comments from our commission? Mary, you had one other comment prior to.
historicity to it. However, we won't know anything about those columns if we don't remove the canopy and the brick veneer, and we're really hoping that we can restore back to that earlier date and time. And Mary, thank you for presenting it. I think it's nice to see all the historic photographs. It's an old building that's been through a lot.
All right, well, thank you. Yes, commissioners, any comments? Yes, Bobby Stauffer.
I think that people are even afraid to walk underneath that column. Perhaps it isn't a safety issue, I mean the canopy, but I think people will be happy, the general public, to see it removed. I've heard people commenting that they cross the street and walk on the other side because they don't trust the canopy. So I think it's a great project, and it'll be fun to see what they uncover once it's removed. So I would be in support of it.
I had a comment that this was a part of the filming of Don't Come Knocking. There was a very important scene between the protagonist and his wife at this scene, and it was fairly well. They shot it through the windows. It was really pretty cool. So it does have a lot of historic as well as relevant cultural significance. But times are changing, and we're just glad someone is taking this on. Any other comments from our commission? I would move that we would approve the demo review with the provisos that any salvage of the tin could be offered to a Butte CPR, and that any future work on the facade would come before us for design review. Do I hear a second to that motion? Tracy Miller has given us a second. Any other discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Well, congratulations, and we'll be looking with great anticipation to the outcome of this project. Thank you.
So I do want to, there is phase one of the facade rehabilitation that we're going to do design review on tonight. And then I also put in the future phases would come to us for design review, which they probably will anyway, because I strongly suspect that the proponents will be seeking URA funds. So for what they're proposing to do right now, I already told you, and that was to deconstruct the brick, the modern brick off of the storefront to see if they can expose the columns. The other work is to do brick and stone repairs. As you can see, this is a really fanciful building with just incredible brick and stone work and detailing. And so they want to they want to replace damaged or missing brick with new brick that's the same composition, color, and size as the existing brick. I think all the stone is there, but there needs to be repointing, and they're going to use lime-based mortar that is similar in composition, tooling, texture, and color to the existing mortar. Then they also want to install new windows. There's 2 windows that remain intact, and they're the transom or the upper sash of some big windows here, and you can see right there. And if they can retain these windows and preserve these meeting bars, they're going to do that. But otherwise, they will be replacing with windows as I'm using all of the windows, they're gone. We don't know where they're at. They're gone. So, but they'll be using the historic photographs as a guide, and as you can see, they're mostly 1-over-1 double hungs or single hungs, and then these larger cottage-like windows, and they will be replacing in kind so that they match the size, the light configuration, and the basic operational design that is displayed by the historic photographs. And I believe I'm having lots of senior moments tonight. And then I believe that's it, and so I recommend approval of phase 1 of this facade improvement project. And would like to ask Leslie if she has anything she would like to add.
Thank you, Mary. I don't. We're obviously very appreciative of any insights you have, and we're real excited. The contractor is chomping at the bit to get going. So that's a good thing.
Well, my comment was, when we redid all the brick on this prior, we scaffolded the entire facade, and we started the scaffolding off of the canopy itself. So, and now that's gone. It's going to be gone. So, you get a team of masons in there. I guess you could do it with a bucket truck, but it's a large facade. I know that we repointed pretty much everything there and replaced any deterioration, but that was 25 years ago. So that was, or more. So things have deteriorated since then. So I see no problem with the design review. I would ask any other commissioners for comment, and I see Mitzi has her hand up.
So I see that the proposal says gently clean, and I think I know what that means, but Leslie, would you comment on how the contractor is going to be instructed to gently clean?
Well, I know that Proseco was the company that we used to do the paint stripping, which is a SureClean company that oversees that. When we stripped off several layers of white paint that were put onto the building. And then after that, we did the repointing, and then we did, I think, a very mild chemical wash to get any excess mortar off at that time. So it has been washed once and stripped from paint. So now the brick is probably more vulnerable, but it's not the highest quality brick we've seen in any of these old buildings. But, I think taking the paint off was a big step in the right direction as far as making it compatible with the rest of the town. At one time, the building was painted, they painted these buildings silver to replicate metal, because that was what the new facades were going, and so they could make it look more like a metal facade. So it was painted silver, then it was painted white, so there's been several changes with the building, and we brought it back. So, hey, it would be great to get this thing fixed up again. It's a 4-story building, so that upper little, I don't know what they did up in there, but we put a new roof on that. There was a sign on the side that was a billboard that we removed off the building at one time too, and that would be the west side. So, yeah. So, any other comments from the commission tonight on this project, on the design review? I hear none. I would move that we approve the design proposal for 75 East Park Street as presented. Do I hear a second? Okay, Jennifer Peterson is seconded. Any further discussion on this project? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Good luck to all, and we're looking for some great things out of East Park. Thank you. All right, our last design review of the evening for 423 North Jackson Street. Mary.
with a window. It'll be a 1/1 double hung. We hope to restore these 2 wood 1/1 double hungs. Otherwise, windows down here that are missing will be restoring or replacing those with Anderson series, or no, not Anderson, a higher end wood window made by Anderson. And then replacing the doors with either salvaged wood panel doors with half-light windows or new wood panel doors with half-light windows. And so, Emma, you want to come up and speak?
Yeah, I think you pretty much covered it for the most part. In addition to all that Mary has said, we're also hoping to, we'll probably be back here for this for a demo permit, but to demolish the existing back porch and then rebuild it with wood and very similar materials. It will also involve removing probably the shed roof that's over it, and we'll rebuild it. And when we rebuild the deck, we'll rebuild it probably twice the square footage so that people can actually sit out there and enjoy it and, you know, barbecue and take in the view. Yeah. Are there any questions?
Well, obviously, excuse me, Mary, this back facade is a secondary facade as far as historic value. So building a larger deck, I don't see would be detrimental to that. It's an interesting roof. You know, you mentioned gambrel. This is a very steep gambrel. It's kind of unusual in the sense they built all the way up and built the ceiling structure, then they topped it off with a little less steep piece. So that's not exposed inside. It's a flat ceiling upstairs, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's correct. Okay. Like I say, this is an interesting street too because the sidewalks are higher than the finished floor of the building. Yeah. So it's an interesting, that's a really interesting area of town up towards the hill. So I think it's a valuable project. There are no finalized plans for the entire project. There's a lot of work in progress is what you're asking us to approve. The initial work that would be done is, Mary, would you review the initial work we're going to approve tonight?
Yeah.
Or disapprove or approve?
Disapprove or approve. And then I should have started from the beginning by saying that Butte Historic Trust has received a SARTA grant to assist with the purchase and the remodel or rehabilitation of this house. So what we're looking at, the exterior facade improvements tonight that we're proposing to you is restoration of the front porch, removal of the vinyl siding from the front gable end, and restoring the wood shingles if they're still there, or replacing them with wood shingles or a comparable design out of hardy board or LP Smart if they're not there. Replacing the wood, restoring the wood casings around the front upper story windows. Replacing the windows on the first floor with Anderson Restoration Series windows, which are wood, double panes. They would be the same operational type and size as the existing windows. We're going to try to see if we can find a stained glass to replace the missing stained glass. And there has been discussions about putting in a leaded glass window in this. There's a small one over here, and putting in a leaded glass window there. And then we'll, on the rear, we will try to repair these 2 wood windows. Otherwise, the windows will all be replaced, and this will be restored to a window or to a 1/1 double hung standard size. and then install new doors that are either historic wood panel doors or new wood panel doors. And then removing this back porch and rebuilding a back porch that'll be 2 stories high. The deck will be twice the size of the existing deck. It'll be built to code with all the necessary railings. It will be all wood, and it'll have a wood staircase that comes down so that we're going to provide for parking back here, and then someone could walk up.
Thank you, Mary. Mitzi, you had a comment.
But just to be clear, it will be, as Emma said, that will be a separate demolition request.
Yeah, when we're at that point.
Okay, thanks.
Well, any other questions on this one? Yes, Bobby?
I just have a comment that this particular neighborhood is close to my heart because my first apartment when I moved back here from college was 420 North Jackson across the street when that brick building on the corner was still there. So I can vouch for the beautiful view, and I wish you luck with this project. And I would move to approve this project as presented.
Thank you. We hear a second? Tracy would like to second that. So it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Any other questions for, what was your name again?
Emma.
Emma. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, any other questions for Emma? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Well, good luck with this project. It's meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, staff and member reports, we know what's happening with the member and the staff. And we want to wish Mary all the success and happiness in her retirement, and she will be missed. We appreciate her hard work. Mary, would you have anything else you would like to report on?
No.
She has none. Any announcements? No, nope. No. Yeah, I know, Mary. It's you know what though, like I say, everybody has a certain journey in life, and things, you go different paths, and now you're on another one. So like I said before, you'll be able to ski a lot you want, as much as you want during the week. Any public comment tonight on anything not on the agenda? Hearing none, I would move that this meeting be adjourned. Thank you.